Hello and welcome back to EastEnders Weekly, your weekly podcast all about EastEnders, the podcast.
Oh my goodness. Yes, that came out this week, the BBC Sound podcast.
Yes, the official BBC podcast about EastEnders.
But it's not about the soap EastEnders that you watch on the television. It's about the soap that doesn't happen on the television. So finally we found
audio
out.
drama.
That's right. We finally have discovered and found out what exactly happened in Spain between Kat, Alfie and Hayley.
I mean, you kind of knew most of it when I was listening.
It was pretty much telling you what you already knew, wasn't it?
But there was just a few things. Like, it doesn't seem to be entirely Kat's fault, I don't feel.
No, not. Because she did try to get away from the arranged marriage with the Russian gangster mafia.
And even the accident with her child doesn't seem that her fault, really.
No. But also, I liked that the child was played by a young female.
He was right old Cockney, wasn't he?
Like, Mummy!
Hello, mister.
What's this kettle for?
But no, it's enjoyable. About
Very
30
good.
minutes of an extra thing. And they're doing them monthly.
Yes.
So we look forward to the next one.
We are very much looking forward to the next
I have reached
edition.
out and said I'd hope to see old characters have their own stories. So the
I know.
producer said we'll see.
We all know who you're talking about.
Pete Bill.
Yes, of course. Do you know what else came out this week? Something else came out this week.
Oh.
BBC related.
Did-
Well, EastEnders related. The new Best of EastEnders DVD came out this
Ooh,
week.
Yes.
And we got a copy, and we've also got a copy to give away
Aren't we lucky?
from BBC Studios. So what we're going to do is at some point during the show, we're going to give you all the details of how you can win a copy of the Best of EastEnders DVD and an EastEnders Weekly mug. I know, just giving it away, and hopefully it'll be with you just in time for Christmas. So keep listening to the show, and you can find out the details of how you can win those
I
prizes.
will. I'll keep my ears open.
I'm afraid people who work on the show cannot enter.
Oh, great. But it's a good DVD, good price, and a good mug.
Absolutely, I am a mug.
You are here every week. So we are talking about episodes that were broadcast on the 26th to the 30th of November. And I mean, it's been quite a roller coaster week, I feel, this week for me. Like, it started low, and then Tuesday got better, Thursday really good, and then like ended on a meh.
Oh,
on a
did
Friday.
you enjoy the party on Friday?
I did enjoy Friday's episode, but it didn't feel like a Friday episode.
You're right there.
It
It
felt like a
didn't-
Tuesday episode.
It felt like a midweek episode. Well, the Thursday episode felt like a Friday episode.
Yeah, and Mondays, I just, wow,
Monday had no place to be there.
I hated it. So we are talking about the elephant in the room, Kat Slater.
There's no way to speak about her. Yes, there's the Kat Slater storyline, or the Slaters in general. where
Yes.
the week started off with Kat.
Poorly. She's been very drunk this week.
She has, but she didn't start. She started off the week with good intentions. She wanted to carry on her training for her black cab license. Hayley was egging her on, saying "Go, girl," and so she decided to really live up the atmosphere of being a black cab driver and go to a special black cab rest point, a cafe.
She did. Because she used to go there with Charlie when she was a little kid. She looks up to Charlie. We've been reminded of that for the past few months.
Yes.
How loving Charlie was as a father.
And how great he was as a taxi driver, and how he looked after them.
And that's why Kat is learning to be this black cabbie, because she wants to step in her father's footsteps and keep him alive in spirit.
He does. Everyone wants to be like Charlie. Charlie's just like the saint of the household. But unfortunately, his halo slips this week. Or
Not
so
happy.
we're led to believe, because the writers of EastEnders decided to rewrite history, as it were.
I know. I mean, we spoke about this a few weeks ago, didn't we? Because we were trying to guess what it was.
Yes.
You didn't guess this?
No, because they weren't allowed to say. There was an embargo, so people weren't allowed to, or the press weren't allowed to say. And unfortunately, this was what they weren't allowed to tell us.
Yes. So yeah, a lot of people quite upset online, and the fans seem to be quite upset by this, because she's obviously gone to the taxi place. She's spoken to one of like Charlie's old friends who recognised Kat.
Yes, he was the guy who ran the cab shelter, and he'd been doing it for years and years and years. And at first, he believed that Kat was some kind of foreign homeless.
Yeah, he thought she was like a Russian prostitute or something. It's really weird.
She does with the thick eyeshadow. You could perhaps mistake her for. And she was wearing a beautiful, very short skirt and leopard skin tight combination. Something you see, something you'd imagine Tiffany wearing, like when she went to school.
They've really gone over the top with Kat's clothing since her return. Like, her leopard print is like, it was never used to be that over the top.
No,
like, it's everything she wears.
Well, she's
No.
Kat.
Yeah, it never used to be that over the top.
I mean, she always used to put
In Redwater, she was wearing cardigans.
I know. Yes, well, we must never mention Redwater. It never happened. It never happen.
Yeah. So he says, "Oh, there's a pub down the road which Charlie used to go into a lot. If you're acquainted there, maybe you see some of his old friends. They might be able to help you do some of the routes, and you can get some tips and things." And this sort of quiet man is there, who seems to have a bit of a chip on his shoulder to Kat. Doesn't really want to speak to her, or
well, I don't know if they ran out of names also for characters because they've called him Murray. So let's hope that Mr. Murray and Murray, Mr. Murray, but it's not Mr. Murray. It's Murray.
Sir Murray.
So, but yeah, Murray when he first sees it's Kat and he's introduced to Kat, he nods at Kat, but doesn't really look like he wants much to do with her. Kind of sits away from her, and
this is a bit odd.
It is a bit odd, and this upsets Kat. Kat doesn't like people not wanting to be in her circle of friends. She's used to people wanting to be around her.
But like, even what he like eventually says to her, it's still like, why would you say that to someone? What he says, it's really odd.
Well, so Kat, after her friend from the cab shelter has gone and she's left there having her orange juice, she, which doesn't last long, this sobriety, she goes over to Murray and lays it quite thick on him. It's like, why won't you talk to me? Why won't you be my friend? Why are you not going to be my friend? Why won't you be my friend? Everyone's my friend. Everyone loves me. I'm Kat. I'm Kat Slater. Why don't you like me? And eventually the guy kind of broke and just said, no wonder your Uncle Harry knew how to shut you up. And then that was it. That was the moment that.
And he leaves, and she sort of chases him down and says, "What did you just say to me? Why are you bringing that up?" And he says, "Oh, it was during a lock-in, and your father was there. We all heard it." And yeah, he said, "I got the exact gist of what he meant, so I'm glad you've found your voice now."
Yes, but he doesn't say it in a very charming or nice way, like comforting way.
No,
and this surprises Kat because obviously forever Kat's believed that Charlie hasn't known. That
like all of us.
Exactly, that she had been raped by her Uncle Harry, and that he only discovered at the same time as when she
told Zoe.
Revealed it and told Zoe. And there's obviously stories. There's videos on YouTube if you want to dig them up. It's not very difficult to find them.
2002.
Yep, of him finding out, having it out with Harry, going to the pub. That brilliant scene.
And it's such a good scene as well because it's all done from his point of view, all in one shot as well. And his reaction to finding out about Harry is amazing. The fact that they've done this, it's like, why? It
would make better sense if there was something you could take from old footage and say, oh, actually, yeah, maybe he did know. Maybe when he did that, there was the nuance that he did know.
Well, it's so sloppy because an example of when Dirty Den was brought back from the dead, the old producers went through all the old footage of like Den's final month and the months afterwards, and they looked at things and seen what was said, seen what was shown on TV, and they wrote the story around it, like him missing his ring and not showing him in the canal and the ring being sold and stuff. And they went through and they said, we wanted to give our viewers respect. They're not stupid. We can't just rewrite history.
And this is before YouTube, so people can't go back and look at the old footage.
And they did it really well, and he came back and it made sense because of the way they did it. But what they seem to keep doing with Kat is, the producer last time changed her history saying she had twins.
Yes.
And then that was on the show. She left to go to Ireland off the show. She now comes back and we're just
expected to believe that this new
either forget
twist.
that happened because the twins not being mentioned, the lottery's not being mentioned, Avi's brain tune's not being mentioned. So it's like, okay, we can accept that you don't want to mention Redwater. But then why then bring in another rewrite of her history again for us to have to... It's treating us a bit like we're stupid viewers here.
No, I agree with you. And also it worries me that they've brought back the Slaters, and there is legs with Hayley, and there's certainly legs with Jean, but I don't think that they thought it out completely. I don't think there was a full plan here. Hence why they're now feeling the need to keep rewriting stories in order to give them something to work with.
But it's such a shame because it kind of ruins Charlie if it is true. And obviously later in the week she tells Stacey, and Stacey sort of just brushes it off as in it's not true.
But again, so then
you think, well, what was the point of even bringing this up?
Yeah.
Like the whole point of this whole rewrite of her history seems to be to tip her off the edge to that one night, so she ran over that guy.
The hit and run, which again has just been kind of brushed under the carpet.
It's kind of like they're just trying to get Kat as low as she can just for the Hayley reveal at Christmas. But like, you didn't really need to add this in.
No. I mean, especially as you say, when Stacey says, like, this is just some random guy, and it's obvious the night he says in question was a drunk night. So perhaps maybe Charlie went to the toilet or something. Maybe he was there, but he went off somewhere.
Yeah.
And then that's when Harry said something.
And the trouble is, we'll never know because Harry's dead, Charlie's dead, Viv, the mum's dead.
But Murray isn't dead. So
yeah, but he said what he said is what he can remember. So we'll never know
true,
like 100%. Unless Big Mo knows, but then that would kind of
that make it even worse because
exactly,
Big Mo knew
that would ruin Big Mo. So it's just like I don't see the point of it or where it's gonna. There's no way to prove either way now.
It's tarnished the whole story, and the story was such a complete story too. And to reap it up in like this, it's you're right. It just seems a bit
it's not good.
Ruined.
But this obviously sets her on a crash course. Literally,
a huge decline. So she starts driving erratically, obviously doesn't hit and run, runs away, and then for the next couple of episodes, basically she's just drinking. Drunk.
She has a really weird, in E20, she has Coke and gin.
Yes, I thought that was not drink. Not
the well-known drink.
Yeah.
It's like, what? It's really odd.
And then did she move on to lemonade later?
I think so.
But
didn't Hayley have something to say about it, I think, didn't she?
Oh, I don't know. But this is something else. In E20, Kat brings up to Stacey and Hayley, because Stacey and Hayley go to E20 to try and get her out. Because
she's trying to flirt with this like group of boys.
Yeah.
And the only way Kat knows how to react in these sort of situations is get drunk and flirt.
And Kat reveals that she saw Alfie last week and that Alfie was in Dagenham, and this surprises Hayley. So now Hayley's a bit like, he's on our home turf, and so doesn't really want to hang around for much longer in case maybe when Kat's tongue gets a bit looser something might have been said that would upset Hayley. And Hayley and Kat are on much better terms at the moment.
They seem to be bonding, and slight compliments being thrown, like Hayley's taking care of the baby really well, and Kat says that to her, says, you've taken to feeding well and stuff. So they're creating a genuine friendship, it seems.
Yeah, again, to build up to the big Alfie storyline around the reveal at Christmas.
Yes, because obviously after Kat's had her drunk night out during the special Vic episode, she just tells everyone to shut up, and then she eventually does go home. She rips off the map off the wall because she's not into that anymore.
See, I don't remember that happening. I remember her staring at the map.
Stare at it, and she obviously contemplates it, and then the next morning it shows it's on the floor. So.
Oh, right, okay.
Off screen this was.
Big scene
off screen drama.
Like Redwater.
So yeah, she's given up. I mean, speaking of the rewrite of her history, was this whole Black Cab storyline leading up to this rewrite? I'm assuming that's why. Because we all thought it was a weird storyline, the fact that she was trying to learn how to be a cabbie.
I mean, I didn't think it was a weird storyline that she was learning to be a cabbie, because it was good.
Okay, let me rephrase it.
Okay.
That was a strange, boring storyline for Kat.
I was leading
Kat's
to that.
Return.
I was going to say, they knew that they couldn't do it for a long time because they kept repeating that she would take 5 years for her to get it. And you and I both surmised that she's going to do some kind of miracle test. And as time was progressing, we saw that she was like some kind of, I don't know, Stephen Hawking's of black cabs. Like, she knew the routes, like, instantly. She was perfect. So, yes, I imagine now it's been tarnished a little bit. And so she's going to have to carry on with her cleaning business.
I prefer the cleaning, because it's quite clever, the fact that they got, Mo, Jean, Kat all cleaning, because it means they get to involve themselves in all different characters.
Yeah, and Mo's able to steal alcohol from people's houses, ready for birthday parties.
Yes, a certain birthday special 27.
Yes. So they celebrated Hayley's birthday a lot more than they did Stacey.
And it was Jean arranging it. And Jean, it's like, you do have a daughter called Stacey Jean, But I was most shocked at Hayley's age.
You were?
I was certain she was meant to be the same sort of age as Keanu, like 19.
No, she's 27.
And she was meant to be like really immature in like a young pregnancy, and she's 27.
I mean, she's immature for her age.
Yeah, she is.
Or naive. I wouldn't say she was immature. She's naive for her age. She's not very trusting of the world. Yeah. Although she's really simmered down, hasn't she? Now she's a mum. She's really
she's got new makeup as well.
Yeah,
she's not pale anymore.
She's like what Kat became in Redwater. She's now got the cardigans and.
Yeah, not a leopard print inside.
Yeah.
But I thought, Jean, actually, you gave Stacey one card and a 30
and a pair of
scene.
slippers. Yeah.
Yeah, and Hayley gets a whole party thrown for her.
And a cake. And do you know who made that cake for Jean? Ian.
The best chef in Wolford.
He is. And so she compliments Ian, doesn't she? And Ian believes that Jean is coming onto him.
Yes, because Tina's now playing tricks on Ian. Like last week,
Oh,
it
yeah,
was
everyone's
Kim
doing
and Honey. Now Tina's getting into his head and saying, "Oh, maybe Jean fancies you."
Yeah, everyone's been quite mean to Ian, to be
Yeah.
fair. They're riddling with his head.
Why is no one bringing up Jane? But we're the only ones that do that.
We are. but then maybe this is the build-up. This is the build-up for the Jane return.
Build up the bills. I mean, you were questioning with romance of him and Jean, because last week I
Yes.
thought maybe Morag was on the scenes.
And I said, look out for Jean and Ian.
Yeah, and then this week he does say, he turns her down and says, "You're not my type. I have a specific type."
Yes, and Jean says, stop being so big-headed. I was trying to get a free cake.
Yeah.
And so then Ian says, well, you have to pay full price for it now. But this is how EastEnders always start relationships.
Yeah.
So
They always hate each other
mhm.
to begin with.
Watch this space. I think Jean's going to get herself kindled in love with
No, I don't like it.
the Bill. Build
No.
up the bills.
No.
And she'll adopt Peter as her own.
He likes blondes.
Jean's a blonde.
No, she's,
But she's a chestnut-y kind of.
no. Jane was blonde. Well, she's not blonde anymore, though. But
No.
Mel was blonde and Laura was blonde. And Cindy.
That's true. And
So-
Kathy. Kathy's a blonde.
Kathy's his mum.
Yeah, he loves his mum.
Oh, yeah, he does, yes.
He cried for his mum. He asked his mum not to date someone so she can stay with him. He loves his mum.
Oh, Kathy's still in Portugal.
Yeah.
I missed her this week.
But the
I miss her most weeks.
But again, well, we'll get to it later on. But a storyline that could have used a
know.
Kathy as well.
I know. But
She should have walked in with like suitcases and a straw hat and tan and be like, "What's going on here?" But anyway, we're talking about what have I missed?
But yeah, I mean, Hayley again started on her that she does all year. It's something they do something for her, so she storms out of the house and leaves.
I liked that though. It made me laugh when she walked in and she went, "Nah, mate," and turned around and
Yeah,
walked back out
with a
again.
pram at like full pelt, like 30 miles an hour in the pram.
And they did such a nice decoration. They had a mirror ball.
I know.
And they had obviously the cake. They had party food, chipolatas on a stick. It wasn't Jean's sausage surprise though.
No. Well, they've used that 3 times already. I think they overdid it, personally.
I'm still waiting for the recipe.
I have to get the cookbook for Christmas.
Well, I'd like Jean to send it to me personally. Jean, EastEndersWeekly@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Send me the recipe.
3 sausages and mash.
No, it's a surprise. There must be something inside of it.
Beans.
Probably alcohol, which Big Mo's
Yeah.
poured into it.
But yeah, Hayley eventually come round and she came back and she, after a little chat with Kat, she came back to the Slaters again, like she always does.
Yeah.
She leaves and comes back. And then
Thanks to
there's
Kat, they had another little chat.
Yeah. And there was a knock at the door and Alfie Moon has returned.
Yeah, didn't say anything, he just grinned.
Yeah. But, yeah. I was half hoping it was like the police, like saying, "Kat, you're arrested for a hit and run 2 days ago."
Yeah, that would
But
be
no, it was
better.
Alfie.
No. I mean, we put on our social media what people's thoughts about Alfie returning, and suffice to say, it wasn't great.
I mean, every time we ask people about someone returning, they always just don't like it. Like
But-
Ruby, they're just like, no.
No. But then they come up with other. Vincent was brought up. Why is
He
Vincent
was.
not back? And I agree with that. And Wilmot Brown.
I'm kind of over Vincent now.
Nope.
And I'm kind of over Kim. I don't want to say it, but I wouldn't mind if she left the show.
That's for another conversation, which we will be having, sir. We will be having.
I do love Kim, but I just feel a bit, meh.
But not enough for her to stay.
No, not at the moment. So there you go. Bye.
Get ready for the hate.
No, not hate, but I just, don't know. Not much with her. I forgot she was even pregnant.
It's because, well, I was going to say, it's because you're not mad keen on pregnant characters, are
Yeah,
you?
but she's just not doing anything, is she?
You've got another pregnant character coming soon,
I know, someone's pregnant.
but not the one we thought it was
No.
going to be.
Well, it might be. Who knows?
That's true.
Who knows? That's my catchphrase from episodes 1 to 5.
I know, you used to say it all the time, and then you consciously talked yourself out saying it.
So, yeah, that was the wrap-up of the Slaters shenanigans. Obviously, Alfie's back now. We think full-time return, which I'm not that keen about.
No, it's not a huge mad keen
No.
choice.
Hopefully they'll bring up Redwater. They'll bring up his brain tumour. They'll bring up the £1 million. Maybe we'll see Dimitri turn up. Anything can happen.
I think that's going to happen. I think Dimitri's
Will it be the
coming.
same actor from the podcast audio drama?
Will their children be the same actor? Will it be like this?
Hello, Mum. How are you doing?
Will their son be this 23-year-old woman dressed up in a baseball cap and a plaid shirt? Hello, Mummy. It's
Oh,
me.
I'm Slater. No, we can't mock the actors on the podcast because they're very good.
No, it was very well
It's
acted.
just, it was real London Cockney boy. It was really funny.
But it was, you could tell, like I say, most boys who are on like voice dramas are normally played by young women.
Like Bart Simpson.
Exactly.
So next up, we have part 3 of our ongoing series of Julia's Legacy.
Yes, part 3 now of Julia's Legacy, which is a bit of a tribute looking at the iconic stories that had been used on EastEnders, which ended ultimately using Julia's theme at the end of the episode.
We're coming to the end of the 90s now.
We are. And then we get into the big bulk 2000s, where it's
slightly overused.
You could start questioning. We question whether it had been overused in the 80s, but wait till you get to the 2000s.
I mean, looking over these, I feel this next sort of 5 years is sort of like a transitional, like, classic EastEnders into a more of a modern one. This one, like the things that happen over these few years now, it's like a lot of new characters and people leaving and coming and going. So
yeah, I mean, a lot of people consider the 90s as the building blocks of what's now what EastEnders is now, and it's got a lot of the Stall families. I know there's obviously the Fowlers and the Beals that were there from the beginning, but the Mitchells had joined at this point, and
and like the Butchers and the Jacksons and stuff like that.
Yeah, so a lot of characters that are now considered today as being almost a old school family too. But
young blood then.
Yes, maybe they need a bit of young blood for the future. We're looking at 1995 to 1999 of when Julia's theme was used at the end of an episode of EastEnders. But before we do any of that, just to quickly remind you all that if you're looking for a Christmas gift for a friend or a loved one who has a certain affection toward EastEnders, then you can't go far wrong than to looking at shop.spreadshirt.co.uk/EastEnders Weekly Podcast, where we have clothing, bags, pillows and loads more with the Queen Vic bust design exclusive to our show. And all money that is raised helps make this programme for you guys to listen to. So do visit shop.spreadshirt.co.uk/EastEnders Weekly Podcast and have a little look. So here we go. So we're continuing our adventure then for Julia's theme. We're starting on the 22nd of June 1995.
We are, yes. And this is the ending of Nigel Bates, who is telling his stepdaughter Claire that his mother has passed away. She's died in a hit and run suddenly. And obviously on part 2 we were talking about how they started their relationship and they're all happy.
Yes, because
happy ever after.
They got a Julia's theme when they finally got together, when Nigel and Debbie finally got together. And he had to tell it's Debbie's daughter and he's looking after her.
Yes, and he has adopted.
But it's a marked popular episode because of the way the information was passed on so eloquently, and so not like EastEnders. Normally if it's in your face, it's impactful, it's told and you see the breakdown and the emotion on the screen. But
it was done really nicely, wasn't it?
Yeah, really
there was like no dialogue. You don't actually know what exactly he said to his daughter in the playground, because he picked her up from school with Grant.
Yes.
And then took her to the place and obviously told his daughter. But you see it from Grant's point of view in the car.
Yeah, you actually see it inside the car as well. So you see the Grant's reflection on the windscreen, and you just see him say something to Claire.
It's very sweet, and she just breaks down and they hug each other.
They hug.
But yeah, it's really nice, and it goes to show what a great little actress she was actually. Claire, she was very good, wasn't she? I obviously remember her from Hollyoaks being the very villainous character. That's my first appearance of her. But
well, when she was a bit older, because Hollyoaks wasn't.
Yeah, she was older. She was. She played like a Janine sort of character in Hollyoaks. She's very evil.
You can't turn around without seeing a Janine character in Hollyoaks nowadays.
But no, it's a really nice scene. It's really well done, and it was respectful, I suppose.
It was respectful. Like I say, it sticks in a lot of people's minds just because of the way it had been put across to the viewer. It wasn't very EastEnders, and it was nice that they did it that way. It gave Debbie, the character, almost the respect it deserved for her death.
Yes, which she asked to be written out to the actress. Wasn't too happy with where it was going.
Yeah, you were saying something to me just earlier that the actress wasn't happy about the character of Debbie.
No, she wasn't. She was afraid of being typecast. And she asked to be, just kill me off, please.
Wasn't she very happy also? She felt that Debbie's character was a bit soft and a bit boring.
Yeah. She said, I left EastEnders on my own accord. Without a shadow of a doubt, I begged to be killed off. I ran to the script editor's office. Every time I saw him at a party, he said he'd never forget, because I'd be running and crying saying, kill me. I can't stand it. She said the part was really boring. She played a wimp called Debbie, and all she did was wander around asking where Nigel was. So she was not happy, so they granted her wish.
Yeah, Nigel was a popular character on EastEnders, and it's a shame that she couldn't have been associated with the popular character in a bit of a more interesting way for her, at least as the actress.
Yeah, but they play on his grief for her and trying to start a new relationship for a few years, up until another Julius theme we'll be talking about in a minute.
Yes, but something a bit more important happens between that and the next Julia theme that Nigel has, and that's Arthur's funeral, which was on the 20th of June 1996.
Oh my gosh, this is the point where I think, Arthur's funeral, it's probably that point where the show sort of changed.
Yes.
That was a starting point of a new generation, having an original character like Arthur be killed off after
11
10 years.
Yeah. Background story is that Arthur had been put in prison wrongfully, accused for stealing money from the allotment society, because he'd been imprisoned before for stealing money from the Christmas fund in the 80s. So he was seen as an easy target by Willie Roper, who framed him for the crime.
But he got, innocent. He got out of jail, but there was a prison riot the day before. So he got hit on the head, but everything was okay. He was released, came back to Pauline, and they had their final scene together was quite, it was just ordinary, because obviously neither of them knew he was about to die. So it was just a nice ordinary scene they had, and he collapsed in the allotment, and that's how he died of a brain hemorrhage.
From the blow that he had from the prison riot.
So, he got a Julia's theme for his funeral, which was very fitting. It was nice, because Pauline placed a white rose on his coffin. Yeah,
white rose that she collected from his allotment plot. So she went back to the allotment, the scene of his death, I suppose, if you want to be a bit morbid about it, and she cuts a single white rose from the brambles and puts it in her pocket, ready to lay on his grave at the end of the episode.
And again, this is the whole funeral was really interesting, because they gave Pauline virtually no dialogue. She stayed silent throughout the whole funeral and the whole everything, right up until the Julius theme starts, and she just says she sort of says oh, rest in peace, darling, and walks off. And it's quite nice. This again just shows you can show and tell so much without having any dialogue, which is really interesting.
Willie did turn up, Willie Roper, hiding behind a tree.
He did, to pay his respects.
He did, and Mark saw him and basically told him that he was trash and shouldn't be there. He's responsible. He's the reason why Arthur's in the ground right now, and gives him a bit of a bop on the nose.
He does. Old Mark comes out.
Old Mark,
rebellious Mark pops his head out for a second. Beloved character.
Really was. There was also at the funeral, you saw that the Cindy, Ian and David Wicks story was being shown by the camera, showing that almost David was looking over Cindy and
between
Ian,
them both.
In between them both. There was a bit of clever framing for the camera crew. Something we'll be discussing maybe next.
Yes. So on the 17th of October 1996, we have Cindy Beale, who's leaving the show. And she leaves with her sons Stephen and Peter.
Yes,
running away.
She is running away to Italy. She wanted to get her daughter as well, Lucy, but was unfortunately not able to. She'd been caught just at the wrong time.
She was in a big rush because she'd been having this affair with David Wicks, and planning to move away, at the same time wanting to bump off Ian, so she's had him shot.
Yes, now we can't just pass this over as if nothing's happened. This is quite a well-known storyline.
It is.
Cindy hired a hitman to kill Ian Beale.
Easier to kill him off than to fight for custody, basically.
But as we know, it works exactly. Well, because David had said to Cindy that if it did ever come down to a custody battle, she wouldn't have a chance. So she decides that, snuffing Ian Beale. But as we all know, killing Ian Beale was no mean feat.
It's not that easy.
Never that easy.
No one's tried to since. He's invincible.
He doesn't need... No one needs to try. He's probably tried to kill himself a few times.
That's true, yeah.
Accidental and purposefully.
So she's trying to get away. Barry helps her. which is really quite odd for Barry.
Yeah, he had a black eye, so there may have been a link there somewhere.
Yeah,
but
maybe David Wicks forced him.
Perhaps. Well, no, because Barry seemed quite submissive with him. When he was in the car, he was like, "Good luck, have a good time."
Really odd for Barry. But so yeah, she's trying to escape. Ian's been shot, so he can't help.
He can't do much, Ian.
No, Phil and Grant are there, but Phil, he's sort of pretending to help Ian for Kathy, but he's not really that bothered to help Ian.
Yeah, no, Phil is wanting to help for Kathy more than for Ian. But he says a line when he's driving that he sympathises with Cindy having to put up with Ian. So he's half-heartedly on his way. He could have just driven off and pretended he did it just to satisfy the needs of the Kathy.
But she gets away, but only with 2 of the kids.
She does. She gets on the Eurostar, which amazed me. I forgot that the Eurotunnel was existent in 96. I thought it was a bit later than that. I was a bit surprised when I saw Eurostar.
That's a good getaway. The train.
Yeah, well, just need a passport. Don't need to wait for luggage, baggage or anything like that. You just pop on the train and off you go.
There's not a black cab in sight in the 90s. It's all trains. It's all trains for the exits.
All trains and private taxis. David doesn't want to go with Cindy.
Well, he gives the illusion that he's going to wait, get Lucy and then come and meet her, but he never does and he calls it all off. So Lucy stays behind, and we obviously know that Ian does get the kids eventually. So moving on to our next Julius theme is the 30th of April 1998. So it's been a good 2 years since our last one, and this is Nigel's leaving. So he's leaving with Claire, Julie and Josh, who Julie is like a new romance that he's finally accepted.
Yeah, well, he's liked her for a little while, because this is when Nigel owned the video shop. Who remembers the video shop? You remember Billy had the video shop as
Billy
well?
had it, yeah.
not as popular as they used to be. And he had this instant attraction to this lady who walked in, which Nigel felt a bit guilty for, because he felt like it was tarnishing the memory of his wife, his late wife.
I mean, it's nice that they've kept that going for a good 3 years. He's still been grieving and not accepting and feeling guilty for loving someone else when his one true love has died and things. So it's quite nice. And
well, prior to him meeting his new partner Julie, he did fall in love before, but had his heart broken because she didn't love him. She loved Grant. He's meant to be his friend. He went with him when he was talking to his daughter. So that's not a good friend, is it?
No, it's not. But he finds his new love, and she has a son and he has a daughter, and they become a perfect family. And she's moving to Scotland, and he realises last minute, and they leave together. Yes. So it's all happy.
And there's a crowd outside, and they're all cheering them as they drive off. This time they did use a black cab as well.
They did.
It was a black cab as they left.
No, and they went.
Judy, sorry.
Yeah, he was written for him to come back. Open-ended, happy ending story, but he never did.
He was in Holby City.
Well,
There you go. He played a doctor in Holby City.
It's all the same, isn't it?
Well, it is now, certainly.
So next up on our list is the 4th of February 1999. And this comes after a very traumatic, upsetting storyline of Tiffany, who has been hit down and killed.
Yes, so she's fleeing Grant because, build up the story a little bit. Grant has been wrongfully accused by Tiffany that he pushed her down the stairs, encouraged by Beppe DeMarco to lie so that she could get away with her kids, Courtney, without the family and anyone kind of recognising what she's doing. So while Grant is in police custody, she's going around the square saying her last goodbyes to people, writes a letter of confession that she wants Bianca to give to the police saying, actually, I lied, Grant didn't push me down the stairs.
Yeah, but when that comes out, she would have hopefully already escaped.
But unfortunately, Grant had already been out on bail and got ear of the plan that she was basically developing.
Yes, I mean, a big chase. I mean, this is one of the biggest episodes when this was announced, that Tiffany, because Tiffany was so loved. She was one of the most loved characters on EastEnders. And yeah, so there was a big chase out of the Vic.
On New Year's Eve. Yeah. New Year's Eve, no less.
I know. The Butcher curse continues because Frank Butcher hits her.
Yeah, so this is the second Butcher to do hit and run, and the second story to get a Julius theme linked to a Butcher hit and run.
So yeah, I mean, sadly, Tiffany dies outside the Vic.
Yeah. Grant, I remember, quite nastily blamed Frank for a long time for this, and he it's almost he was in his own denial that he knew that he was to blame, really.
Slight cause of it, yeah.
But he really was really mean to Frank and would kind of bully him, torment him over the whole hit and run of poor old Tiffany.
Marty McCutcheon, number one seller.
This is her moment. This is her greatest moment.
Her only moment. And her last moment comes with the Julius theme is when Grant is scattering her ashes at Peacehaven over the cliffs into the sea.
Yeah, see, well, I was a bit confused. Why Peacehaven? I couldn't really understand why it was going to be Peacehaven. And then, good old Ben.
Well, yes, it was Tiffany's childhood memories of great holidays there.
Yes, which was mentioned in her funeral.
It was.
But it was mentioned in such passing. I missed it. Completely missed it.
But Peggy's there and Courtney's there, and Grant sort of chucks some flowers down the cliff as well. The flowers look a bit grotty, like he picked them up from the garage on the way.
The Shell garage down the road. Oh, those to do. £3. Also, he chucks a couple of handfuls of the ashes and then decides to keep a handful and put it in his pocket. Yeah, that's
a bit odd. Your pocket.
What if he forgot and put his jacket in the washing machine? Like, they'd be ruin the wash.
Yeah, it's a bit odd.
It was a bit of a strange thing, and never referenced again either.
No.
Like, you'd think that they might have gone back to it later and seen him kind of put it in an egg cup or something like that, just so he always has a memory.
Yeah, but it's a shame that the Julius scene wasn't actually on when she died. It was like a few months later, spreading the ashes. But
again, there's a bit of politics behind Tiffany's death, because Marty McCutcheon didn't actually want to die.
No, she didn't. She wanted to just have a little break, release a song like everyone does.
Yeah, like me and you, Ben.
But no, they weren't having it. They said to her, you either stay on the show, or if you want to leave and do a music career, we're going to kill you off. So they didn't give her much choice, really. No,
but then I suppose Marty McCutcheon made a good choice, because she had a good little career going.
But she says to this day she said, for the fans and for me, I would have loved it if Tiffany could just come up into Vic, say, all right, Grant, have a drink and leave again. She said the fans would have loved it and she would have loved it. So she's not happy. She's written autobiographies and everything about it.
Wow, it's really stuck in her mind. She was a great character and a popular one at that. And I think, again, it's another one of those silly mistakes the producers have almost done. To cut their nose to spite their face.
I mean, the producers did reply back and say that she was demanding to come in and out whenever she wanted, and that would be extremely difficult to write storylines in EastEnders for a character like that. So, we got to give both sides on this podcast.
Fair enough.
A right of reply.
And that's the way it should be.
But, she did eventually be killed off and got a Julius theme for Over the Cliff. So that's what she got.
It's a nice ending to her, to be fair. It wasn't like she was...
It was. And it was one of the most... Everyone still remembers that moment. So, she's got that.
Oh, it's a really poignant moment. I mean, she could have been killed off screen, and that would have just been a kick in the face, wouldn't it?
Yeah, really, Pete Bill, I'm talking to you.
Yes, that's exactly what I was referencing.
So our last one of the 90s is 10th of September 1999. And the legendary Bianca Butcher is leaving with her son Liam to live in Manchester.
Indeed.
To go to college to study fashion.
My goodness. Quite a few things are happening to her then. She's really switched
She's going
on.
for it, isn't she?
She is. I mean, whatever happened to that fashion degree that
she got chucked out?
Oh, right. But
because in 2002, Ricky goes to visit her and Liam, and that's when she tells them she got chucked out of college.
And then 10 years, 14 years after that, she's found sleeping underneath a bus shelter.
Yeah, with 20 kids.
With 20 different children.
So there you go. But she is leaving under, a very long storyline of her and Ricky on and off. And obviously her mum, Carol, had a new boyfriend, Dan Sullivan, who so happened to be a past relationship of hers as well.
Yes, when she was on
underage.
Holiday.
Yes, she was underage, but he wasn't aware of this. But she is leaving Wolford, and Ricky does come to try and get her back, and turns out he does love her. But she makes the decision all on her own that actually... No, I don't love you, and I do want to go. I
mean, it was done. You've made it sound like it was very plain, very no, I want to go on my own. But it wasn't like that.
Well, no, it was Bianca. Typical Bianca. Yeah. There was a few Rickies in there.
It had to be some Rickies in there somewhere. You can't have Bianca leave a show or enter a show without Ricky being shouted
or her
at the top of her voice. Exactly. She basically is asked by Ricky outright, is this what you really want? And after a small pause, she puts her head down and shakes her head, and she realises that really she's better off alone. And so does Ricky.
She can do it.
So they leave on good terms, actually, because he kind of walks away and she goes on the train. And so they're almost better off apart than they are together. Or maybe not, as the future will tell.
Yes, history tells. But so I mean, quite a few big characters are leaving in these 4 years. We've lost quite a few. I mean, Bianca's a huge character, Tiffany was a real big character, Arthur and Nigel Bates. So yeah, it was that sort of transitional period.
Yeah. The late 90s was, as you say, I think a bit of a transitional, and I think 2000 was when the big bang kicked in, because A Certain Family was introduced.
They were
in 2000,
the Slaters,
which shall never be forgotten.
No.
So yeah, it was a really interesting time for EastEnders by this point, because they were trying something new, maybe. They're not changing the theme tune. They attempted that. Let's never speak of that again.
Let's not talk about that again.
But it's really nice ending to the millennium. A whole new millennium from next week.
I know.
But as we said, there's a lot more. There's a lot more Julia themes, so we may need to slow down.
They really go for it.
They ramp it up somewhat. They inject it with caffeine and watch it go.
But we'll get through them with you.
Of course we will. As always, if there's any memories that you guys have of EastEnders with Julia's themes, something we may have forgotten and didn't mention, tweet us at EastEnders Week. You can Instagram EastEnders Weekly Podcast, or you can email us eastenders@gmail.com. And that was this week's edition of Julia's Legacy. So next week we're going to not be able to do the perimeters quite so wide, because there's a lot more.
I know. Loads of them.
Yeah. Exciting though.
Yes. And Mel was involved in them. Speaking of, Mel's back.
Mel's been back. Well, Mel's back, yes, with a story.
She is.
But not particularly a gripping one.
No, it was really good when she had that red dress on and she had that knife in her hand.
Yeah, the film noir and the kind of killer.
She's a woman with a deadly planned out plan. It's going to go amazing. It's all going to be, but no, it seems to be a bit of a.
Well, then they chucked a bucket of water on it, and then it became a.
She seems to know what she's up to, does she?
No, she's kind of jumping around from one idea to the next, and not really sure where to go.
So she's got her fake ring made.
She had both rings made. She had the real ring made and the fake ring made, and she told the ring maker to take back the real ring and sell it for himself.
But the husband doesn't need to know that.
No, keep that between you and me.
Is that legal? Not sure if it is. Dodgy man.
Well, yeah, considering Ray is paying for the ring, surely he should have some involvement of where the ring is heading.
It got me all confused when you saw her ring Lou. Lou. It's like, is Lou Bill back?
Yes, no, I did.
Is she phoning Louise Mitchell?
Well, I thought she was phoning Louise Mitchell. And then when she started talking about the ring, I was like, what's happening?
Oh, yes. The ring man is called Lou. The most famous EastEnd.
Again, running out of names. So there's Murray, Mr. Murray, Louise, Lou. Is there going to be another Mel?
Gel.
Well, there certainly doesn't need to be another Jack.
I didn't actually mind Jack this week. I know you're not going to be impressed with me. But I was more on Jack's side this week than Mel's side, because like she invited her out for like a drink.
Well, she wanted advice. Yeah, she wanted advice.
Yeah, but she kind of insinuated like, "Oh, do you think I'm doing the right thing marrying Ray?" And she was like, "But if not, maybe I could be with you."
Yeah.
It's like, for God's sake, Mel. Like last week you cheated on him the second your husband was home, and now you're asking him to get back with you again.
I know. This is what I mean. Mel doesn't know what she wants. She's fleeting around from one idea to the next. So she's got this glass ring. We don't really know what she's doing with this ring either.
Just getting up some funds, is she?
But no, because she's not kept it would make better sense for her to keep the real ring. So when she does, obviously inevitably going to say to Ray,
I hate you, and chuck the ring or something, or flush it down the toilet.
But no, then she should keep the ring and have some money from Ray, because she knows Ray's a very wealthy man.
Maybe she just wants the cold hard cash. Quick getaway.
Oh, well, so do you think she's getting the ring maker to sell the ring to then give the money to herself?
Oh, yeah, obviously.
Oh, I thought she was just saying to the ring maker, just keep it.
No. That's why she's got the glass ring. So Ray thinks she's got the expensive ring.
Oh, right.
But in fact, she sold the expensive ring. She's got cold hard cash in her hands.
If I had a penny for every time we said ring on this show, I'd have £3.79. That's an old joke from the
I
young
don't
ones.
understand that joke.
I mean, we've said it 379 times. It's a joke from the young ones.
Oh, cool. So I mean, I am sad to say that I was on Jack's side, but he didn't. He just said, "No, Mel, your mess. You deal with it."
Yep.
Although I thought his line of him asking her if she spiked his drink was a bit weird. He said, "If you spiked this drink, don't know why you would." Like, what?
Well, Jack's always suspicious of everyone, though, isn't he? He's suspicious of his own children. He's suspicious of his own family. Jack doesn't trust anyone.
No, he doesn't have an opinion on anything. In the Special Vic episode, he didn't have an opinion.
Well,
Typical Jack.
He did have an opinion, actually, and it was for Ruby. One of the very few males who supported Ruby in that scene.
Yeah, but he still didn't 100% commit. He just said, I don't know what to think. I've seen a lot of it in the Force.
Yeah, but
that's not really committing to much, is it?
No, that's true. That is Jack, though. That's Jack to a T. He's very wishy-washy. He doesn't really commit to anything. Doesn't trust anyone. Doesn't commit to anything. And when he does commit to something, to be fair to him, this is me supporting Jack slightly, he did commit to Mel.
I hope Scott Martin's listening to this episode. Yeah. It's the best one.
We're really bigging him up. When he committed to Mel, he was then destroyed 3 times. First of all, it was really weird, dirty flirting when he hired the car.
Oh yeah, it was leather gloves.
When he drove past all the people in the market stalls and then got shot down. Then he tried it again and got shot down. Then he eventually got together with Mel. And then, as you said, Ray came in and she was like, bye then. And then. So in a way, you can kind of understand his issues with Mel now.
You can. Mel's ongoing other plan is she's getting in touch with Ray's / Simon's secret wife, who she met in the hospital a few weeks ago when she burnt her hand on crushing the hot coffee.
Yes. The scene.
You remember that? So she's got in touch with her. She's a personal trainer, so she wants to get some information about Ray. So she books a training session. Doesn't quite go very well. Mel's not very fit.
But you wouldn't be very fit either if you've drunk 2 glasses of wine whilst you were negotiating through her website.
She was drinking a lot that episode, Mel, wasn't she?
Really was. And also, the personal trainer can't be that great if she could hire her that afternoon.
I know. So when are you free? In an hour?
Yeah.
And then afterwards go to a Vic and get drunk.
And even after the personal trainer, I forget her name now, but even after she said...
Claire.
Yeah. Even after Claire said... oh no, I can't really because I've got a client after this. It's like, no, come on then. And then Claire got drunk.
I know.
Wrecked on half a bottle of wine. She
doesn't have to worry because her husband's rich.
But also she's been on a no carb diet, so she's not been drinking a lot recently.
So yeah, Mel just tried to get her drunk to get a bit more information from her. But really, the information we got was kind of what we already knew about Ray. It's just the exact same situation of Mel. So he's not lying, he's lying, but the same lies to both wives.
Yes.
It seems. Because Ray's on holiday this week, but he's not around, and that's upset Hunter, so he's obviously Claire. Let's
not forget Hunter's strop at the beginning, the unnecessary strop from Hunter.
33% psychopath.
Let's never, ever forget that. Yeah, so he's upset, isn't he, because Ray's not there, and he's obviously Ray's his father figure. I think Hunter is going to be the one who is the most hurt out of all this.
And I think he'll be the one to off Ray? If Ray's being off.
This is what I mean. I think this is going to be Hunter's psychopathic tendencies starting to creep out.
And Mel's going to have to try and cover it all up to protect her son.
Because he loves Ray, but he no more than he loves his own mother. And he loves to manipulate his mother. And he probably, almost like when a cat catches a rat and then presents it in front of their owner, Hunter would probably do something to Ray to show to Mel his loyalty to her. So... dangerous times for Ray.
It needs to start building up now because it's only a few weeks until the wedding, the New Year wedding. So I'm hoping the next few weeks it builds up a bit more and gets a bit exciting again.
Yeah, they haven't done any wedding planning.
I know.
There's been no build up at all, other than buying the ring.
Do it. She
is a party organizer.
She can plan the wedding.
Yeah,
give her something to do.
Put on her Face Spaces page.
And her one brand of lipstick she wears for her whole life, apparently.
But she doesn't like the colour anymore. Should we move on to Ruby since we started?
Shall we?
Yeah,
yes.
Why not?
Because we had a very big week for Ruby.
We did.
And dare I say it, I don't know what's happened to me this week, but I kind of enjoyed Ruby.
I enjoyed Ruby this week too.
The main parts of Ruby that I enjoyed was her and Jay. Which I was surprised at.
I'm shocked to hear that. It was nice to get... Again, we always laugh and say, Kathy's got a storyline. But it was nice for Jay to have a storyline. And it was nice that Jay's found romance.
And Jay's just such a nice, decent guy because they bump into each other. Because she's a bit stressed because the whole thing has come out and the guys have been charged and it's in the newspaper.
Yes.
And she bumps into him and drops her wallet, I think. Well, she drops her something.
She drops
and
her
Jay
bag
picks
of
it
shopping.
Up. Yeah, but Jay picks up something of hers, which is why he then turns up at her flat.
Well, no,
to return
she
it.
dropped the bag of shopping. I thought it was the whole bag of shopping.
Oh, really?
I think so, because he came in with a bag.
Oh, okay. Gosh, she's not very good, is she?
Well, no, she's not. But
her mind's everywhere.
That's when she sees the newspaper article, as you say.
Yes.
And Jay buzzes in, and Jay's really quite excited, isn't he, by being able to see Ruby, and he flirts a little bit, but Ruby doesn't really reciprocate.
That's why he's such a nice guy, though, because they have some tea. Not alcohol, just some tea.
Just a little bit of tea.
And they chat, and it's quite nice, and she's obviously enjoying it, but she kind of thinks, oh, I've just let my guard down, I'd better put my guard up again. And he asks her for a date, and she says no.
Yes.
But like he's like, okay, I understand.
But he looks a bit embarrassed as well. Yeah. He's a bit sad. He's like, oh.
And it was really sweet when she did invite him in, and he's like suddenly started doing his hair when she wasn't looking. That was really sweet. But if that was like Max, for example, and she said no to his date, he'd be like, what do you mean? I'm not doing that. And he'd like go to Jack's house and like throw all the photos down
a bottle of whiskey,
and like end up sleeping with a married woman somewhere. But Jay was just like, oh, okay, no, I completely understand, we'll bump into each other again. It's like,
I think it's such a shame. Does Ruby know about Jay's conviction?
No, she wouldn't.
No, okay, so that's still to come.
That would be a really interesting storyline as well, whether like she automatically thinks, oh, you're on sex offenders list, how gross, like automatically assuming something,
but she could
because
assume,
that's what she doesn't like. People assuming something about what has happened to her. So that's quite an interesting
dynamic that could
look at
develop.
it. Yeah,
I mean, she could assume. Obviously, it's not, and he'll explain it. But she could presume that when she'll probably hear in the street, as it were, or in the market.
Oh yeah, and
Jay,
she'll think that he's raped someone or something.
Exactly. So then she'll try to keep away from him, and so there'll be that kind of tingency of him trying to get her affections that way. But yeah, no, it's nice to see Jay and Ruby, and then in a funny way, they're almost, because they're both slightly damaged, they kind of work nicely together.
Yeah, and they're both like, none of them really have any ties anywhere anymore, so it's quite nice. It would have been nice if this was Ruby's like introduction. She would have made a few friends first, I think. Because she made friends with Whitney as well later on in the week, which was really nice.
She did, because she had a hole in her coat pocket, which was
designer.
Yeah, exactly. She had to bring that up as well, didn't she? She's like, well, I spend more on this coat than I would have on this lipstick, so oh well. And off she scurried.
Yeah.
But Whitney goes and visits, I want to say Louisa, Ruby as well, and starts doing a metaphor that anything can be mended, and that it's best to talk to people. Because Ruby's very upset because there's a lot of chat on social media or face spaces.
Yes, there is. And obviously we had the big episode before this, which was entirely set into the Vic, where everyone is sort of heard the news from the Wolford Gazette. It's sold out this week because everyone's reading about it, and everyone has like an opinion on what's happened. And Ruby is at the Vic, and also Martin is at the Vic with his mates.
Exactly. Just sorry to quickly jump back to the social media thing, but this kind of builds up quite well to what's happening in the Vic, because she feels like she's being judged on social media. So again, it's a bit of a commentary that social media is a place where there's a jury of people, of you feel like your peers looking down at you, and so where you should feel most comfortable, which is your local pub amongst people who should know you, she still feels quite insular and caged in by this secret that she isn't sure whether she should release and let people know, but knows inevitably people are going to find out about.
And obviously Martin has been told by Stace to go to the Vic tonight because she wants the house to herself with Ruby so they can chat. So he invites his mates over, the mates that
he's he's meant to be friends with for years and hasn't seen.
Could have just invited Kush, but
no. Well, Kush was busy with Denise. Later,
Denise had a lot to say.
Denise had a heck of a lot to say.
That English GCSE has really opened her eyes, broadened her horizons.
She references a book, and then Kush says, "Is it? You're talking from a passage from that book, aren't you?"
Yeah.
She's like, "Yes."
The one book she's read.
Yeah, well, and she can't think for herself. She can only think about quotes from books.
But I mean, this episode was really well done, wasn't it?
Excellent. Thursday's episode was excellent. And I know there has been a bit of criticism from a few people, but I disagree. I think it was really well shot, well acted, brilliantly written.
It was really well written.
And again, Louisa, this is the thing with Louisa, who obviously plays Ruby. She, for some reason, when she's given the right words, she's perfect. She's actually spot on.
Yeah, she is. I just didn't like the storyline.
Well, no, because it was beginning
our issue's not really with Ruby.
No.
As an actress or a character. It's just how she's been brought back in.
Yeah.
Is the issue. Or was the issue.
And also how weak it became. Because there was the Big Bang, the big storyline, then it got weaker. And now they're doing the Big Bang again. So are they going to weaken it again. But yes, you're right. It's not Louisa or Ruby we got issue with. It's the fact that she was brought back for this story.
But it was really nice. So, just to see the Vic full of characters, it's like you kind of wish it was like that all the time.
Yeah.
Like it used to be. There's no reason why it can't be anymore. I know filming schedule is a bit difficult now, but it just felt so much better. Just having people sat there, like who aren't extras, was really good.
Yeah, because it was all main cast as well. Obviously, there were a few extras mixed in, but normally you just have a couple of spatterings of main cast.
Yeah.
But they were all in there. The very first shot when the camera was walking around the pub, and it speeds up and then slows down when the character goes into the shot, and it speeds up and slows down, and it's just basically the first establishing shot, and you can really feel the atmosphere.
Yeah, there's music playing.
There's music
by Patrick.
playing. Well, Patrick's singing, and this is where it begins. Where Patrick tells a romantic story about a woman where he kept asking her whether she'd date him, whether she'd see him, and she keeps saying no. And so this is basically laying the foundation of what the discussion is going to be. When a woman says no, when do you stop?
Yeah, and he said, I asked her 5 times. Everyone's like, oh, that's a really sweet story. And it's like, oh, okay, but do that today, and it might not quite be so and sweet.
Being a bit pushy.
But it was really interesting to see everyone's point of views, because even though all the points of views were different and not everyone agreed, they all were quite valid points.
Absolutely. But this is the thing about an argument. There's 2 sides to every argument, and there's not really ever a right or a wrong. It's just what you feel is the opinion is correct. And that's what a discussion is about. And so that's why I liked this too, because it was a discussion. It wasn't just a one-sided debate.
It was nice, and it was just nice seeing, like, my favourite part was Sharon.
Of course.
Who loved it up against the wall really rough.
Yes.
And everyone looked at Phil and like, oh, all right, Phil. And she was like, no.
yeah, she says, you can't condone a man who likes it rough against the wall. All right, Sharon, that's set the scene. But Sharon also does a really killer line to Denise, because Denise kicks off straight away as soon as they're shouting. Because Stacey, let's set the scene that Stacey basically shouts at Ross and Matt, who are having the drink.
I think Stacey was the worst in this. The way she was shouting out and the things she was saying, like right next to Ruby, and it was obvious Ruby probably didn't want Stacey to shout all these things out and be so blasé about it. She's like, again, making it like her own agenda. And I thought, no, Stacey, you just need to be quiet and maybe ask Ruby what you want her to say or don't want her to say. I thought she was really out of order.
Because Ruby was quite happy sitting in the corner. She was out of the way. And yes, as you say, Stacey basically shouted Ross and Matt down and out the pub. Jack offers to help chuck them out. I'll help them if they're rapists. And Ross and Matt, not so much Matt, because Matt's the very quiet one. But
he's
Ross,
the one who's been accused of
He's the one who's
rape.
being accused of the rape, and Ross has been accused as assisting.
Yes.
And Ross is the much more confident one, who's just lost his job in America because it's obviously he's been convicted of a crime and he can't go to America once you've been convicted of a crime. And he basically says, why are we being... Again, the same problem which Ruby feels like she's having, and that is they're being convicted before any case has been brought forward.
Which is a fair point. I know they most likely are guilty, but it is what they are saying is like true. Like they are all judging them before they even know anything.
Yeah.
It's just sad that you don't really know Matt and Ross.
They're
enough. Not real. Yeah, they're not developed at all.
I mean,
but you can kind of see where they're coming from and where Martin's coming from, I guess.
I mean, there is an argument, I suppose you could have said that maybe they could have introduced Ross and Matt a little earlier before the story started. But then
we said the same about Ruby.
Exactly. So it depends. I suppose you're seeing them both in a similar light that you don't really know enough to know the truth about the whole story just yet. I mean, I've said this 100 times before, but I wouldn't mind if they actually did an episode where you retrospectively actually see what happened, because then it will clear up and everyone will know, and then that'd be...
Well, they said they're never going to... then you're not going to see them.
No, but I think they should. But anyway, that's just my opinion. So once they've been chucked out the pub, Denise starts piping up and giving her views and opinions, has a bit of an argument with Kush, goes to the bar to get a drink, and Sharon comes over and says just a killer line, an absolutely amazing line, about how Denise had sex with Phil. She was drunk, but she didn't say no to him. And
he didn't even remember.
And he didn't even remember it happening. And Sharon's just like, thank God Phil didn't... thank God you didn't go to the police about Phil. And straight away, Denise feels like, oh...
Because Denise, like, I don't know if it's before or after that, but she said something along the lines of, men can't be raped because if they're too drunk, they can't perform.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, Sharon just shut you down because that exact thing happened with her and Phil. Because Phil didn't remember it happening.
No.
So yeah, that was interesting because I was moaning on Twitter saying, Denise, you and Phil, and then like 5 minutes later they brought it up.
Yes.
So I was like, oh, well done.
You
Shut me up.
Sassed them up.
Yeah, shut me up. And there was small sort of connotations that maybe Denise may know about Cush's affair.
Yes, so Denise kept bringing up that Cush not raped women, but liked sleeping with women who had been drinking or was drunk.
Yeah.
And Cush kept saying, "What do you have to say, Denise?" And Denise was, "Oh, nothing." So it almost lent toward that Denise
She knows.
knows.
Do you think,
Yeah.
I'm going to call her Bonnie then. Do you think Carmel maybe told her?
No,
or they
because
talked about it?
No, because you didn't see it on screen.
No,
certainly,
that's what I mean.
But Carmel did say to Cush that she would keep it a secret. So why would she lie to her son? She had no need to.
Yeah, but I don't know how. Or maybe Denise just saw her come out. You know, they only live next door to each other.
I mean, I'm trying to think who else may have seen something happening. Ian might have seen something. It might have been on the bill because it was at Bill's. It started, wasn't it? So maybe Ian.
And she did work there as a waitress.
Yes. So,
but yeah, I thought that was like a slight interesting whether they're going to be talking about that.
So let's get back on track with Ruby because obviously this episode was circling around Ruby more than anything. So Ruby got quite upset with Max because Max interfered and asked Stacey if she was okay. This obviously ruffled Martin's feathers a little bit too. But Ruby was more angry at Max because he said that he was worried for Ruby because he has a daughter and a wife. 2 daughters, which he's... Abby Jr.
Do you think he was talking about baby Abby?
Yes, baby Abby.
I don't think he was. I thought he's so used to saying my 2 girls, as in Lauren and Abby, and he'd like forgotten, oh no, wait, Abby's died.
He did pause after he said it, to be fair.
I thought that's what he meant. I don't think he meant baby Abby.
Oh, maybe then. Maybe.
Abby mentioned, so we like that.
There you go, one of the week. And
we're still waiting for Lauren Fitzgerald to get back to us.
That's for another time. And she is angry because it's like, well, why are you only concerned with me because you have a daughter or you have a wife? Why can't you just be concerned because you're a human being and you understand that
we're people?
We're people, yeah. We should all be okay. You know, we'd be okay. Martin then tries to convince Ruby to pipe up and tell the pub that it's her and that she should accept the consequences, which was a bit of a...
I don't know. I think what Martin said, I can't remember the exact lines, but what I took away from it was he said, well, Matt and Ross have been publicly outed, so why shouldn't you? Because no one's guilty, no one's innocent yet.
Well, no, that's true. That's very true.
Which is another... I mean, it's not the same sort of thing, but it's like when people get accused of stuff in the news, their names come out, but the person accusing doesn't.
Doesn't so much.
So it's not entirely fair if Ruby was lying, but we know she's not. Well, we
don't know. That's the thing.
But we're on the lines of she's not lying. Yeah. But if she was, you know, her name's still, no one knows who she is, and everyone knows who these people. So I think what he said was
a valid point,
but maybe not said 100% correctly.
Yeah, not said with the fluff that should have been said. Yeah. I mean, Linda, you just brought up the point that we don't know whether Ruby is lying or not. Presuming she's not, because it's such a horrible, horrible thing to talk about. And Linda has a conversation with Ruby, and it's a really sweet scene. Actually,
it is really good.
Linda has just been on form these past few weeks. The stories with them, and she has a really nice conversation with Ruby and tells her that
because Ruby, she doesn't say anything, but she just sort of notices Ruby's body language and how she is, and obviously she links it to what's happened to her. Yeah,
because Ruby still hasn't said that it's her yet. And so Linda just gently takes her to one side and says that no one has the right to question it, and that they don't deserve to feel like that, and that she's not ruining anyone's lives, and she's not ruining her own life. And it's just a really lovely scene with Linda. And later on, when Ruby does eventually come out and does her big speech at the end, she turns around and looks at the pub. There's, a few concerned faces, a few worried faces, and the only 2 people who smile at her is Linda and Stacey. It's so lovely that they're the 2 who kind of comfort her, just with the warmth of their smile. It's really lovely. But that end speech is fantastic as well. Really good speech that she does to Glenn when he walks into the pub to have a drink.
Yeah, it is. It's very. I mean, the episode could have almost be seen as like a public information film if it wasn't done correctly.
I don't think it was though.
No, I don't either. But like, it could have almost been a bit like that. The way they were doing these like speeches and things, but I think it was done in a nice way, and they added like bits of comedy in it as well, because Kat was drunk in there and shouting at everyone, and there was a few funny lines which helped keep it going.
Good.
Yeah,
I mean, EastEnders is, and it's been said before, EastEnders is a program of characters, isn't it? The storylines are almost second to the actual characters, so you're invested in the characters. And I don't think anything that was done on that Thursday episode was out of place for any of the characters. And even Stuart had a dark moment during the episode on Thursday, when he asked Linda if she's okay, and Linda didn't realise that Stuart knew that she had been raped. And so there was, again, it's just a little moment in there where you were reminded that Stuart's still playing this game. So all the characters in it were just excellent. Patrick was a revelation. He stood up for women. He really did. He was a revelation. And then he brought in the race card, saying that you're more likely criminalised if you're black than you are white.
But it's great because all these things are things you see like people put on Facebook, or you hear people say all these different opinions. You do hear them all. So it was nice that they were able to give everyone a voice, I guess.
It was almost like watching a Twitter stream,
live
on television.
That's what the pub is, I guess.
Well, it is. The pub is the original Twitter, where people's opinions can be pulled across in a safe environment.
But all round very well written. I mean, I just wanted to say as well, the episode, one of the producers posted saying, "Glad so many people liked what we did with EastEnders tonight. It's opened up an important conversation. It was written, directed, edited, sound edited, and mixed all by women."
Oh, wow.
So
fantastic.
most of the episode was a female team, which is
brilliant.
Really great. I thought that's really interesting.
Yeah, really, really good. And I mean, there is more for Ruby on Friday. We touched on it with Whitney and basically having a friend and a shoulder to cry
they're
on.
just sort of giving her a few ties in the square now, which is nice.
They are.
I quite enjoy those bits of Ruby.
I do.
I mean, her contract's just been extended.
It has, as we found out this week.
More Ruby to come.
Get ready
under Kate Oates.
Yes. Ruby.
But we've got one more storyline to do, so we're going to go off and have a bit of a game now, and then we'll be back for a saucy affair. Welcome to Slater Family Values.
Do the Slaters have any values anymore, Ben?
I don't know.
There's no answer to that.
They have questionable morals, but they do have some value, I feel, in the show.
Nice.
And as we know, on the square, everyone is related to everyone somehow. So the object of this game is I'm going to give you two characters from the show who are currently in the show, and you have to link them together with 6 steps, like 6 degrees of separation. And you have 60 seconds to do this. So are you ready?
I'm always ready.
Once again, I try to choose 2 characters who are, you wouldn't at first think, are very linked. But we'll see how you do. So in 60 seconds, I want you to link Big Mo, that's Mo Harris,
yes,
to Denise Fox. In 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay. Big Mo is obviously the nan of Stacey Slater.
Mm-hmm.
That's number 2. Stacey Slater has or is married to Martin Fowler.
I see where you're going.
Martin Fowler had also been married at some point in his life to the beautiful Sonia Jackson.
Curveball here.
Sonia Jackson has got... Oh, hang on. No, I'm stuck here. Sonia Jackson has got...
20 seconds.
Oh, my goodness. Sonia Jackson's got a brother called Robbie. Robbie
Yes.
Jackson. Robbie Jackson is the sweeper of the market for Kush and the rest of the market sellers. One of the market sellers being Kush. And Kush is having a relationship with Denise Fox.
Time is up. I feel you went one too many steps there.
1, 2, 3, hang on, 4, 5, 6. Oh, I did.
Mm.
Oh, goodness. So how was I going to connect?
See, wait, when you started saying Martin, I thought you were going to say, oh, best friends with Kush. Kush is in a relationship with Denise.
That would have been the obvious one. Yes, that would have been better.
So, yeah, too many steps there, so you fail. The ones that I had was completely different to you.
Oh,
like,
right.
massively. So mine was Big Mo was once friends with Pat when they were younger.
More than friends. They were workers. They were co-workers on the street.
Pat Butcher had an affair with Frank.
Yes.
Frank Butcher gave the Queen Vic to Peggy once the affair was outed. Peggy's son is Phil, and Phil slept with Denise and they had a son together.
Yes.
So that's very different.
Did. That's really is, yeah. That's taking it into the past and kicking and screaming it back to the future.
Yes, I'm afraid you failed on that.
I failed because I was too good, though, if you think about it.
So get looking at that family tree, and we'll come back next week.
Yeah, but consider it that I was too good because I was able to do 7 steps.
Well, that's not good because you're meant to do it in 7.
I'm not one to stick on the rules, Ben. I like to break the rules.
I'm going to buy you the DVD of Slater's at School, and you can do some learning.
Bit of education.
And that was Slater's Family Values.
So technically I was a winner at that game.
No, you weren't. No.
I fact I was a super winner.
You can't just say technically I was a winner when you were.
I can and I will. Talking about winners, Ben, one of our listeners could be a winner.
Unlike you.
Because at the beginning of the episode, I mentioned that we are giving away from BBC Studios DVD, The Best of EastEnders, and an EastEnders Weekly mug. Prize that money cannot buy.
What more can you want?
Right, money can buy if you go to our Spreadshirt site, but enough about that. So this is how you can apply. On Sunday, we always post a tweet which has our links to the episode. This week we're going to post that tweet and we're going to attach it with a picture of the DVD and the mug to it. On that tweet, you need to like and retweet it, and then in the comments put this.
My son is in the kitchen eating a biscuit.
Yes, in the comments you need to put, my son is in the kitchen eating a biscuit. Okay? So on the tweet, it only will work on the tweet which has the photograph of the DVD and the mug, plus our show links to it. You need to like, retweet, and put the comment, my son is in the kitchen eating a biscuit. And you will get an automatically entry into the draw.
How exciting.
Very exciting.
Speaking of winning the big prize.
Winning the biscuits, some might say.
Is Denny's life in danger is what I want to know. A few weeks ago, Sharon swore on his life, and now this week he's hurt his knee.
On a rusty nail. Does he have a tetanus shot?
Are they going to copy Coronation Street and have him lose a leg?
Oh, I hope not.
Because Sharon has mentioned, does he have sepsis?
Yeah, and also EastEnders doesn't have the budget to keep superimposing a fake leg on,
on
a child.
I hope not. But I mean, is this the devil's work? Prodding Sharon, saying, you swore on his life, Sharon.
Someone's saying.
Now he's hurt himself at school.
Maybe. So slowly
while
the decline
she
of
was
Denny.
out with Keanu.
Well, this is the point. So she feels really guilty because she was out in the other cafe. Now, we can no longer call it the other cafe, Ben. We have a name for it.
Yes.
Sharon has finally told us, and get ready, everyone. Joanne's Cafe.
Who's Joanne?
Who knows?
Do you think her and Kathy are rivals?
Maybe.
That should be a storyline next summer.
What, Joanne and Kathy?
Yeah, they rival cafes.
Oh, yeah.
Joanne's stealing my biscuits. Yeah. She stole my recipe.
She's selling the same buns as what I sell. Her tea's meant to be better than my tea. My tea's the best in the East.
That'd be a good story for summer. Slow summer story.
Oh, don't give Kathy a slow summer story.
I just want Kathy to have a story.
Oh, a slow one. That she's a rival to Joanne's Cafe.
Yes.
I'm just happy that we know what the cafe's called.
Joanne would be like, I thought you were dead.
Yeah. I know something that is dead. You're toast. I don't know. I can't think of anything clever.
But I mean, this week, Phil's back. He's been like a kind of trying to be a good husband.
He is being a good husband.
Can't cook, though.
No, well, he makes a mess. But he's good at putting his hand in his pocket and going to the takeaway. That certainly is true.
And 2 takeaways this week because he had the fish and chips because he messed up the meal. And then when Dennis hurt himself, he treated him to a Chinese.
Yes, that's true. And later on we find out that Sharon has told Phil that there's no more than 2 takeaways a week.
Only 2 a week.
Only 2 a week. I love that. I love that that's like that's restricting themselves.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, like we have like 1 a month.
No. If that. But yeah, only 2 a week. But I mean, Keanu is wanting to sort of take the relationship to a next level, wants to be open about it. Sharon's not particularly sure. She does seek some advice from Linda.
Yes, and Linda's advice is pretty much that this is all a fairy tale, all unicorns and rainbows, and she shouldn't really...
Like, in reality, I don't think it will work. But Sharon still isn't 100% honest to Linda.
No, because she said she hasn't slept with this man.
or done anything.
It's still just flirting.
Yeah. No Michelle, is she?
No, she is not.
I mean, obviously, Phil wants to go on holiday, apparently, again.
Yeah.
Even though he's just come back. But it ends up deciding that maybe Sharon should go on her own so he can stay at home with the kids.
To Australia.
Yes, because Michelle's in Australia.
Michelle's in Australia. Now, Australia's a big upheaval. Like, you have to me, wouldn't you have to prepare yourself to this 15-hour...
Yeah, you do need to prepare. Maybe having a visa, possibly, to go to Australia.
Exactly.
But, you know, Michelle's written out hastily. Apparently she's in Australia with Vicky.
Yes.
So that's always like a handy thing for Sharon the past 20 years.
Yeah.
Was popping off when she had to see
States.
Michelle.
And now she goes to Australia.
Yeah.
God, Michelle really does travel, doesn't she?
I mean, obviously, Sharon is going to be able to open up 100% to Michelle in Australia. Shame it's off screen.
Well, you say that. What if they do a special EastEnders Down Under? I would watch that in a heartbeat.
I think what they should do is do like a travelling 10-part series with Letitia Dean and Susan Tully and just pretend they're Michelle and Sharon because they're friends in real life.
Well, like Thelma and Louise.
Yeah, and they can just travel around on like a big bus for 10 episodes in Australia.
Having
That'd be a
sex
good
with young
series.
men.
They should commission that.
Well,
Commission
I tell you what they could do. That would be gold for an episode of the EastEnders podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They should. Susan Tully might respire her role for voice only.
I don't know. I think they'd use the new actress, wouldn't they? She
I
does
don't
talk
want
a bit
it. I
like
don't
Michelle.
No, I
though.
don't want
She
it then,
does.
if that's the case.
A bit drony, a bit, ooh, Sharon, ooh.
Yeah, that would be good. What Michelle, like a podcast episode about Michelle and her telling about Keanu.
Exactly.
And her slapping Sharon saying, you didn't accept me in Preston.
Yeah. But it is slightly different with her and Preston.
Don't know.
Well,
Is it?
Preston was underage. Keanu's not.
He wasn't under. He was 17, wasn't he?
He was
But
underage.
for America, yeah.
I was
it's a bit-
recently discovered he's
yeah.
underage in America. So, yeah.
Michelle don't care.
Michelle really didn't. Really didn't.
She goes for it. But I mean, I'm quite sad that Sharon's gone. Because
Same.
I miss Sharon already.
I know.
Even though it's been one scene.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm quite upset now.
Imagine Keanu was very upset too, and imagine the fallout of what's going to happen when Sharon returns, because she can't go to Australia for just like a week or something. So she's obviously going to be gone now till past.
Do you think
Christmas.
she'll be back for Christmas?
No,
Christmas Eve. She'll come back.
no. I think if the
With
earliest,
Vicky.
I'd like her to come back with Vicky. Actually,
Me and Mum fell out,
yeah,
so I come back with Sharon.
I'm going to stay with Sharon for.
She has an Australian accent now instead of an American one.
Vicky is Sharon's sister,
She is.
so she could come back.
Yeah.
I genuinely would like a Vicky character back. I don't know if
She might come back with Spencer to see Alfie.
Perfect.
They're all back for Christmas.
They need a new young cast. Bring them in. Bring them in. No, definitely. I'd like Michelle to come back, but I'd like Susan Tully.
I know.
Michelle to come
Yeah.
back, really.
Yeah. But that's not going to happen.
I mean,
so get over it.
again, our weekly discussion of classic EastEnders. Watching.
I know we haven't mentioned that this week.
No.
They were very short on time. But I mean, the 2 episodes we just saw of Michelle's wedding with Lofty.
What
were
wedding?
amazing.
There was no wedding.
I know. It's so
Spoiler
good.
alert. But no, I know. She stood him up at the church.
I know. It's just amazing.
It was Lofty's auntie I felt most sorry for.
And Lofty and everyone.
Oh, yeah. But I felt sorry for Michelle as well.
Every loser wins.
I love it. Whenever they're singing something out of nothing or every loser win, it is a recording.
I know.
So,
A studio quality recording, like coming out of his voice. Yeah, it's hilarious. But yeah, very good classic EastEnders at the moment.
yes, really
It's
hot.
really good.
Really good. Really good. Not to say that current EastEnders isn't very good.
No,
it has
but
been
Sharon's
good too.
gone now, so
I know.
I'm
It is the
upset.
hottest, it's the best storyline.
it is.
Like, of all of them at the moment. Every time Keanu happens, like a little part of me just goes, "Ah."
I love how Keanu. I love how Keanu keeps crying as well.
I know, he
Bless
proper
him.
loves her. It's just, it's devastating. It breaks
Do you
my
think
heart.
Phil knows something? He's got rid of Sharon and he's given Keanu his job back.
I was thinking that too. I think that Phil.
But I don't know if Phil's that level-headed to not just storm in like for the second he's off the plane.
But he's not acting himself. He's acting very different, and
Nice.
this does exactly. And it's this does. And don't forget that Phil and Keanu, the respectable actors, are doing pantomime over Christmas.
They are.
So it makes sense.
Beauty and
Maybe
the Beast for Keanu. He's playing the
Could be
Beast.
either. He is. He tweeted something today. So it would make sense for something to happen, or it might just basically be that they're going to now pull in the storyline.
Sorry, I've just remembered the photo of Steve McFadden on the promo for his pantomime, and it's really funny because his face is really photoshopped.
And his mascara going up at the
Yeah,
side.
he has like no wrinkles and he's been airbrushed. It's so funny.
I mean, in our part of the world, Stephen McFadden is actually doing the pantomime.
He is. So there's posters up.
So we see him everywhere. And every time Ben just does this little giggle.
It's funny. He looks like he's in like full drag makeup. The way they've edited his face. Oh, it's so funny.
We should post it. So yes, really good story, really exciting, and it's just sad that they have to stop it a bit prematurely, but exciting when it comes back. Very exciting. So, poll of the week, and it was on Twitter. It said, it's Hayley's birthday this week. What do you think Hayley would most want on her special day? And the options were Ugg boots, a leopard print top, a Stacey makeover, the money can't buy a Stacey makeover, or a litre bottle of vodka. I think it's obvious what the most popular one was.
Vodka.
It's what we all want for our birthday. It's a litre bottle of vodka. Second was Ugg boots, which are probably quite well worn.
They didn't actually show us what she got.
She got a party. Third was Stacey makeover, and fourth was a leopard print top. So as always, we always tweet live when EastEnders is broadcast in the UK on Twitter at EastEnders Week. That's where we also find our poll of the week. You can find us on Instagram at EastEnders Weekly Podcast. Email us eastendersweekly@gmail.com, or you can find us on Facebook simply by searching EastEnders Weekly Podcast. And that is it for another week.
It is. Oh, now that's all done. Let's pop open that brandy from 1986.
Ooh, what a treat. It's not there.
I bet it's that bloody new cleaner we got.
Oh, what, Mo?
Big Mo.